Hello babes, welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome. So in this video I'm going to be discussing season 1 episodes 1 to 3 of Sex and the City. I'll be breaking down the episodes like this because it's easier than doing it episode by episode or the whole season in one video. So let's get into it. Welcome to Iconically Iconic. In episode 1, we're introduced to Carrie, a sex columnist, who tells us about a couple she was analyzing. The guy was supposed to be the one, but flipped the script on her and became distant, eventually ghosting her. Quick sidebar, I love Carrie's short curly hair so much. I'm not really a fan of the color, but I love when she wears her hair like this. I just love her hair curly. I feel like her hair curly fits her best. We meet the girls, Samantha, Miranda, and Charlotte, who all have complete different personalities. One thing I loved about season 1 is that they weren't caricatures. They had their issues that would follow in the following seasons, felt much more authentic and not overly dramatic and animated as later seasons. Carrie runs into one of her exes, and from the start it's clear she doesn't always make the best choices in her love life. They usually always have one thing in common, and that's that they're emotionally distant and just here for fun and aren't immature.
So, you seen anyone special?
Not really.
Carrie ends up sleeping with him in order to switch the tables on him to prove a point to herself.
As I began to get dressed, I realized that I'd done it. I just had sex like a man.
Proving a point to me would have been paying him dust, but that's not Carrie's character. So I still can't get over how these women in their 30s were parading around town like teenagers or women in their early 20s. Well, not all of them. Miranda and Samantha didn't act like Carrie and Charlotte. Charlotte was both desperate and childish when it came to picking partners. I mean, she broke it off with someone she was actually getting along with, and it seems as though they both had common interests over some plate patterns. That's something a child would do, in my opinion. And Carrie, well, Carrie is Carrie. This is also the episode where Carrie meets Big. We know this man is going to be a consistent issue in her life because Carrie loves emotionally unavailable men. Not much really happens in this episode. Samantha tries to get with Big, but he isn't interested. I think because they're both similar and like to be in control.
And I have a key to the private room downstairs.
Really?
You want a private tour?
No thanks, but maybe another time.
Carrie also hooks Miranda up with Skipper in this episode, and I know many people love Miranda, but she irritates me sometimes. Being around someone who is always pessimistic or complaining about something is draining, and I hated the way she treated Skipper. She was always so mean to him. She wanted to be the one who controlled her relationships, and yet she had an issue with Skipper being so nice. Someone with her same personality, she would have definitely clashed with.
Women either fall into one of two categories, beautiful and boring, or homely and interesting. Is that what you're saying, Skippy?
No, that's not what I meant.
And she was mean to him simply because he was quote unquote too nice. And don't get me wrong, it was annoying sometimes because he was too clingy, and that's an issue, but that doesn't give you the right to be mean. And the moment she sees him dating someone or moving on, then she wants him. Girl bye. Back to Samantha. I feel like this episode gave us a glimpse into Samantha that isn't often discussed, even though I briefly spoke about it in my Samantha breakdown video. While she's always been open about her sexuality, this episode showed Samantha may have had some underlying trauma when it comes to sex. She was eager to sleep with the guy who comes back to the club, but there's a hint of regret and emptiness that you see when she's engaging. That to me was something that she didn't really seem to fully understand or wanted to deal with, and suppressed that part of herself, but eventually it always resurfaces in one way or another. And sex was just a band-aid, but she never healed her wounds. Anyways, Carrie struggles to catch a taxi, and Big just happens to roll up. They have one conversation about love and the works, and she's immediately open. Now, I know this is a show, but I know women like this in real life who meet a guy once or go on a date once, and they're automatically fantasizing about marriage, kids, and being in a relationship with this person. It's very delusional.
You've never been in love?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Suddenly, I felt the wind knocked out of me.
And that's pretty much all that happens in this episode. The next episode is about models. And this episode irritates me in so many ways. And it's an episode I don't watch when I rewatch Sex and the City. The objectification of women, misogyny, women being filmed without consent, making jokes about eating disorders. Like, this episode was disgusting. Just nasty work. Miranda and her internalized misogyny, she doesn't even realize that the way she judges the supermodels is exactly how some men view all women. On top of that, she immediately puts herself in competition with them, seeing them as the pinnacle of beauty rather than just other women. This episode did not age well at all. Not one bit. Anyways, Miranda tells the girls about a guy she went on a date with who only dates models, which sparks a conversation about models in general.
They have this distant, sexy look.
That's not sex, it's starvation.
That's starvation in the best restaurants.
Yeah. What I want to know is, when did all the men get together and decide that they would only get it up for giraffes with big breasts?
The girls all give their input, but Miranda's comment about how they should be shot, that was beyond bizarre and unhinged.
They're stupid and lazy, and they should be shot on sight.
What kind of nasty, disgusting thing is that to say? It honestly reminded me of the way some men react when a woman rejects them. They suddenly want to harm her. Then they start calling models giraffes with big breasts. This whole conversation was no different than the way some men talk about women in locker rooms. And it's why some women aren't safe around other women. Just because you share the same gender doesn't mean she has your best interests or is safe for you to be around. And can we be real for a moment? The irony of them complaining about supermodels when they are also skinny? Okay, girl. These same women would call a curvy woman with a big butt fat. Look at how they treated Samantha in the Sex and the City movie. But because they're discussing supermodels, the conversation was somehow okay? Make it make sense.
If I see Christy Turlington, I just want to give up.
Well, I just want to tie her down and force feed her lard, but that's the difference between you and me.
What are you talking about? Look at you two. You're beautiful.
I hate my thighs.
Oh, come on. I can't even open a magazine without thinking thighs, thighs, thighs.
Well, I'll take your thighs and raise you a chin.
I'll take your chin and raise you a...
What?
Oh, come on. Hey, I happen to love the way I look.
You should. You paid enough for it.
Hey, I resent that. I do not believe in plastic surgery. Well, not yet.
And I love how they were waiting for Samantha to list out some or one of her insecurities. And she was like, no, ma'am, I love myself. I love the way I look. Samantha was like, I am that girl and I know I look good. I get people have insecurities. Everyone does about something. But this was beyond that. Also, being beautiful doesn't mean you're a bumbling idiot. Most of the supermodels we grew up with were intelligent, and this episode just screams insecurity projected onto the script. One of the writers probably felt this way and wanted to create an episode where they could unleash it. Marilyn Monroe was extremely intelligent despite being painted as a dumb blonde. The whole premise just felt off. Fast forward, we have Carrie meeting up with a modelizer to interview him, and he shows her a videotape of the women he's slept with. When she asks if they know they were being filmed, he says,
Do they know about this?
Maybe.
which means no, just a filthy piece of scum. And instead of her being disgusted and walking out, she sits there asking for a light to her little filthy cigarette and watches it with him like a weirdo.
Do you have a light?
Sure.
Girl, you are a woman. How do you feel comfortable watching that with him? What if someone did that to you? Anyways, the girls go to a fashion show and Carrie bumps into Big yet again.
So, what have you discovered about these men who are dating models?
Well, I'm discovering that some of them treat it as a competitive sport, and others, I think, just need the validation.
And probably others just have a thing for exceptionally beautiful women.
Exactly.
There's something wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong. I just think it might become a bit monotonous. Huh?
No thanks.
Side note, the woman who Big was with was gorgeous, just absolutely stunning. So Samantha is determined to sleep with the modelizer, and as much as I love her, she was given pick me this episode. pretending to be a model just to sleep with a guy, even after Carrie tells her he secretly films women like a whole pervert.
Your friend Barkley? He's really been coming on to me. Do you actually think he believes I'm a model?
Well, whatever it is, you don't want to go there.
Why not?
He has this thing for secretly taping his conquests.
Really? Mm-hmm. What a pervert.
It made her want to get with him even more. She was just craving male validation, something that Carrie narrated in this episode. By the end of the episode, Carrie bumps into Big and again is just enamored by his charm. Maybe it's just me, but I don't see it. Was he funny? Sure. Charming? Yes, but that's it. I honestly think he was overhyped, and the hype was mostly based on the chemistry between Chris and Sarah. But I didn't really see it for him that much. In episode 3, Carrie visits her friend's home in the Hamptons and tells Patience and Peter about Big, which there's nothing much to tell.
So he gets in the cab and he slides up next to me.
Yes.
And it is hot. It is hot all the way from Houston, West Broadway to 72nd and Madison.
The next morning, she wakes up, walks out of her room, and Dirty Peter is just standing there swinging low. First of all, this was just outright nasty and creepy as hell. My guy, why are you waiting outside of the room with your Johnson hanging out?
Johnson swinging. Ball going one way, the Johnson going the other. Look, the ball Johnson there.
Carrie tells Patience about her weird husband and tries to make light of it even though she was clearly uncomfortable. And while Patience does confront him, he plays it off as an accident, but we know it wasn't.
Honey, did Carrie see your dick in the hall?
Oh, yeah, she caught me on the way to the bathroom.
Oh.
It gives I've done this before and he wanted to test Carrie's temperature. Anyways, Patience sends Carrie home because her little nasty husband wanted to expose himself. They were just a weird couple. Later, Carrie tells the girls about Peter's nude surprise and the girls give their input. Carrie tells the girls that Patience told her she wouldn't understand and why she was upset.
So I told her I didn't understand why she was so upset, and she said I couldn't understand it. I'm single.
And what? Single women prowl beach houses hoping for glimpses of their friends' husbands.
Yeah, that's because I can almost guarantee you this happened more than once. The look on her face when Carrie told her what he did in the kitchen said, again. Miranda's reaction was absolutely correct because who expects their friend's husband to be standing outside of their door like a Michelangelo statue? Samantha then gives a speech, and she's partly right because I don't think all married women act like this. A lot of married women do look at single women as the enemy or as if they're better than. They assume single women want their husbands or that they must be fixed up because they couldn't possibly be being single.
You know, married women are threatened because we can have sex anytime, anywhere with anyone.
We can?
And they're afraid we're going to have it anytime, anywhere with their husbands.
I would never sleep with a married man.
What makes you so sure you haven't? Wedding rings come off, you know. Face it, ladies, if you're still single, you are not to be trusted.
Come on, not all married women feel that way.
Charlotte treated marriage like a sorority she was desperately hoping to pledge.
You're right, not all. The ones who don't fear you, pity you.
It's like their whole world revolves around men and marriage, as if being married automatically equates to happiness. Then there's Miranda, whose own firm thinks she's a lesbian just because she's single.
Great, huh? Can I pick him or what?
Yeah, I'm not gay.
Seriously? Man, I've been with a firm 8 months. I haven't once seen you with a guy.
Circumstantial, Jeff. I'm single. Christ, when did being single translate into being gay?
Going back to what I said before and how women are viewed when they're single. Women aren't taken seriously unless they have a man. Furthermore, I don't even know why it was their business. She was clearly a great lawyer. Anyways, Carrie gets surprise fixed up by her married friends, but she's not into it. And honestly, I don't think she even wants to be married. It wasn't something that she harped on, especially in these early seasons, maybe with Big later on. The girls later go to a party that the guy Carrie was on a date with invited her to. But instead of it being a fun night out and mingling with singles, it's just a gathering of married couples. Listen, my girl Sam was over it.
It's all married couples.
Samantha gave me a look like I had sold her to the enemy for chocolate bars and nylons.
Honey, I need you to come over here and meet someone.
Sure. Oh, this is Samantha. Samantha, this is Elaine.
His wife. Honey, I really need you in the other room.
Sure. It was nice talking to you, Samantha.
And honestly, same, because that whole event was so dull. So the girls are about to head out, but Carrie bumps into Patience and Peter, and when Carrie tells Samantha who they are, she cackles in their face.
Big peppermill deck.
And when I tell you the way I was in tears, Samantha had no filter. That's exactly what Patience got. You treat your friend the way you did, then you want to play nice because you think she was dating a guy who wants marriage because your freak husband let it all hang out. Girl, come away from me with this. Now, on to the moment that infuriated me. Charlotte brings Samantha back home with her because Samantha is drunk. And what does Samantha do while Charlotte is asleep? She goes downstairs, brings the doorman into Charlotte's home, and sleeps with him. This is something that I don't even think Samantha would have done herself. At least I would hope not, because this is messy and this is where you rest your head at. But you'll do it at your friend's home. And not only that, you left Charlotte asleep with a random man in her apartment. Anything could have happened. He could have hurt her, stolen from her, or even let someone else in. And you didn't even think to wake her up and let her know? Leaving a strange man in your friend's home crosses so many boundaries, and it's a safety issue, period. This behavior was beyond reckless, and I don't like how they never addressed it, and Charlotte never really addressed it with Samantha, but whatever, moving on. The following scene, Carrie tells the guy she's not that into him or marriage.
I want to get married, and I don't know what I want.
And when he says, "You women are always saying you want to be married," sir, when did Carrie tell you this? And you've only known each other for what, 2 weeks, if that? But she sets him and Charlotte up because she feels they're more compatible with one another. But Charlotte breaks it off with him because of the plate pattern, which is very Charlotte, childish, but very Charlotte. And with that being said, this video has come to an end. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Also, make sure your notification bells are turned on so that you always know when I upload. And I will catch you guys in the next one.